Hey guys, it's Sam here and welcome back to another video. Now today I thought I would do my Premier League predictions for the season, where I think everyone will finish. I've done the table, it will be up somewhere around here, it'll be on the screen somewhere. I thought I would do this today. I've waited for as long as possible so that I could see sort of the transfers and how team windows are looking, but I wanted to at least do one before the start of the season, and then I may do an updated one like after the window closes, sort of predict maybe on like the 1st of September something. When the window closes, basically if team, like what signings the team have made since now, which is Monday the 9th of August to the 31st of August, say 22 days left of the window. As you can see right down there on Sky Sports News, it's very helpful. But anyway, let's just get into it. So as you can see, I have the champions as Man City. Now probably everyone's like pick for who will win it, signing of Jack Grealish, also the essential arrival of Harry Kane as well. That just well, like, they get Kane as well, I think that's game over. I think that's the title to City, but in football you never know, anything's possible in football. And as you can see, I've also got in second my team Liverpool. Now I put City first just so people wouldn't say that I'm biased, but taking the bias hat off and strictly speaking as a football fan, but as like a neutral, I do genuinely believe we can challenge Man City this season. I think last season we were challenging, we were decent, injuries went wrong, we were top at Christmas. People have short memories, we were top at Christmas. I think we were something like 5 points clear, something like that at Christmas. So we were top and we were giving them a game, we were giving them a season, we were making them work for it. But then after Christmas it sort of just went downhill quite quickly. I think eventually it got to was it 8? No, was it 8? 6 or 8? I think it might have been 8 straight home defeats, I think, which for a club of Liverpool was absolutely ridiculous. And some of those clubs, that squad definitely should have beaten them, but you know, injuries, problems. But taking that aside, that squad should have been good enough to beat the likes of Fulham, Brighton and Burnley, but for some reason it didn't happen. But come the end of the season, we turned it up and we got third. So comparing to what people were saying about our season, saying that we were bad champions, worst champions in Premier League history, that we were shocking, people were saying we wouldn't get top 4, people were even saying we wouldn't even get Europa League football. We got Champions League, we finished third, so that completely wiped those opinions out. We never got any credit for that either. People were all for applauding us 2 seasons ago when we won the league. Last season everyone jumped on the bandwagon when we were losing games, when we were struggling. Everyone were happy to chip in and laugh at us. The minute we turned up and the minute we turned it around, everyone went silent. Sure, why not? third and fourth, the final of their Champions League spots, I've got Man United and Chelsea. I think United is obvious. Jadon Sancho will definitely make them better than last season. Looking like Varane could come in, so that's a solid centre back as well. But you know, it could just go either way really. We don't know that they're a given. They've never played in the Premier League before, so we don't know how they'll fit in. But they're world class players, and I expect them to do amazingly and just keep playing like they have been. So Chelsea, again, I just think it's obvious that players are quality, got a very good manager, looking like they're going to re-sign Lukaku. Bit mental, the money they're talking, 97 million. I mean, he's good, but he's not worth 97 million. But, you know, they needed someone because they couldn't have another season with Timo Werner. They can't rely on him. He's been shit. Looked like a massive flop. A fucking lucky escape in our opinion. Anyway, because we were in for him. And Chelsea beat him to it. But it looked like it didn't really matter. It looked like we got out. Yeah, got a lucky escape with that one. Fifth, I've got Leicester. I think Leicester will have another brilliant season. They have really good manager in Brendan Rodgers. They've got some quality players. I think, you know, today, looking like Brendan Rodgers has told Arsenal if they want Maddison they have to spend 100 million. So I think Maddison is staying. I think even if Arsenal bidded 100 million, which I don't think they will, but even if they did, I don't even know if Leicester would want to accept. But they probably would, especially if they're asking for 100 million and someone coughs up with the money. You're probably going to accept, but I don't think they will. So I think Leicester are safe with Maddison. That's very good. They still have Vardy, who's still good. Tillemans. You know, it's looking really, really strong for Leicester. I picked them to have another brilliant season. Sixth, I've gone with West Ham. Again, I think they're going to have another good season. We'll see how Europa League affects them, if in any way it does. They'll definitely need to sign some more players. I don't think they've given up on Jesse Lingard. I still think they could get him if they wanted him. I still think they could, even though it seems those, at least as of last month, Ollie said that Lingard was in his plans. But those things can change, and I definitely think that there's a potential that Lingard could still go to West Ham. I think if they got him, I think that definitely nails on a top 6 finish for West Ham. He's brilliant for them. I think he will continue to be brilliant for them if they got him again. They definitely need to add before the end of the window. I think they will, because they know with the Europa League they can have more games this season, so they'll definitely want to get that good. They'll need a bigger squad for that, for sure. But I definitely think that West Ham will finish 6th. And in 7th, I've got Arsenal. I think it really depends on what Arsenal comes. If we see Arsenal of last season, I definitely think a 7th is probably going to happen. If we see the Arsenal of a few years, then maybe a 6th or a 5th would be right, but they don't give me confidence. 50 million for Ben White? Like, he's not worth 50 million. No way is Ben White near 50 million. If that was Liverpool, I'd be like 30 million max. If you wanted over 30, you can fuck off. Because Ben White is not 50 million. We sold Fernando Torres to Chelsea for 50 million. That, at the time, seemed like a fucking steal. Especially after what he did for Chelsea. He did fuck all pretty much. He was dreadful. He had a few good games. But most of all, his Chelsea career was a massive flop. So 50 million looked like a bloody right steal. 50 million for Ben White is an absolute joke. No way is that man worth 50 million. Not even close. So they don't fill me with any confidence at all, Arsenal. So that's why I've got them in 7th. In 8th, I've got Aston Villa. A massive blow in losing Jack Grealish. But the players they brought in, Leon Bailey, Buendia, and Danny Ings. Like, Danny Ings, proven goal scorer in the Premier League. Him with Ollie Watkins could be dangerous. Bailey and Buendia out wide with the wingers they already have as well. And midfield's good. They've got a good defensive line. They've brought in Duan Zabi from United on loan. That's a very good signing as well. They've got a top keeper. Like, Villa could get Europa League football. Like, they could very easily switch to Aston Villa taking West Ham or Leicester's spot, especially if Leicester or West Ham have an off season. I definitely think Villa can clinch one of those spots, and who knows, like, they could really challenge for a Champions League spot. I don't think so, because I think the four that have in the Champions League are the likely four to finish in the Champions League. I think they're better than Villa in terms of squad, but it's football. Nobody knows what's going to happen, so it could very easily have gone. Hey, no one thought Leicester would have won the league in the year they did, but they did. I don't think anyone would have thought Leicester would have won the FA Cup last season. They did. I don't think anyone really thought Leicester would beat City in the Community Shield at the weekend, but they did. They're defying odds, and you know, it's 50-50 for me in that. But I have Villa in 8th. I have Everton in 9th. I think Rafa will get them very solid at the back. Going forward could be a bit different to the way that we saw them with Carlo Ancelotti, also with the fact that James Rodriguez could be on his way out. There's still the air on his future. The players they've brought in so far is okay, but in terms of the previous seasons, it's not really looking as strong in the department, but also they're keeping the likes of Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, my mind's gone blank. Decore, good player. But like, if they keep James Rodriguez, then that would be massive for them. But if they lose them, there's still 22 days, like I said. So in that time, Everton could do some really good business. But right now, as it stands, the business doesn't really look that strong, in my opinion, and that is why I have Everton in 9th. In 10th, I have Tottenham. Now, Nuno has come in as the new manager. If they lose Harry Kane, how do they have to get the signings, the replacements in right. They have to use that money wisely. If they don't, it could be a terrible season for Tottenham. But I think the players that they still have, even if they do lose Harry Kane, is good enough for 10th. But it's going to be, I think it's going to be a tricky season for Tottenham. And they definitely, what they have to do is they have to be patient. They got rid of Poch, which was a very big mistake. They should never have done that. He was in a tricky spell, but they should have allowed him to at least try and get out of that spell. They didn't. They chopped and changed the manager. They get Mourinho. That didn't work. They sacked him before a final, which was a joke. They allowed Ryan Mason, a young, inexperienced manager, to lead for the final, to lead the final few games and lead in the League Cup final. Tottenham was shit in that. It was City's all day long. From the first whistle, it was City's, even though they only won 1-0. It was just all Man City. Tottenham looked out of their depth, and it really didn't look good at all. And this summer, it took them ages to get a manager. They were rejected by so many managers. It just really doesn't look good, especially if they lose Harry Kane. It just all depends on when do they lose him, like how close to the end of the window do they lose him, and how much time do they have to get invaluable replacements and using that money, and how do they go about doing that. So it's going to be tricky. At 11th, I have Leeds. I think Leeds are in for another good season. Bielsa's a cracking manager. They've made some really good signings, Leeds. I don't know if their business is done. But Patrick Bamford is a cracking striker. They brought in Harrison on a permanent deal this time from City. He's been really good for them. And I just don't see a way that Leeds really struggle this season. I think Leeds will continue to have a good season, and I think a solid 11th is what they can easily achieve. I think they could get higher than that. I think they could get into the top 10 easily. But it's definitely about sort of shutting shop really, and not conceding as many goals. I mean, they conceded 4 to us on the opening day. They lost 6 to United. Like, that sort of thing, they need to sort of close that, and I think if they can do that, a top 10 finish is very very achievable. 12th, I have Wolves. Lost a very good manager in Nuno, but they brought in a new guy. To be honest, I don't know who he is. But so far, like, they've not lost any big players. Connor Cody's still there. Jimenez is back from the injury. They've still got Ruben Neves. They brought in some good players as well. So I think 12th is very very achievable for Wolves. Again, they could even finish higher. It's just about getting that balance right. New manager, you've got to give him time as well, which I think Wolves will do. It just seems like that will probably happen in a 12th or an 11th for Wolves. 13th, I've gone Crystal Palace. I think from what we've seen so far, Patrick Vieira as a manager, it's very sort of 50-50. New York City, he did really well. They didn't win stuff, but it looked as if it was going well. Nice, again, sort of middle ground, but I think so far with the signings, I think Conor Gallagher alone is a very good signing for them. I think keeping Wilfred Zaha will be massive for them, especially if they want to get a 13th or higher. Wilfred Zaha definitely has to stay. They had like a massive release from last season. The players that they released, they didn't sign new contracts. It was a big old list. So they got a lot of players out, and it's sort of like a fresh start. New manager. Some of the players that maybe played a few games for him won't be there. Got some new players in, so it's a fresh start for Palace, and I think a 13th is a solid position to finish on. 14th, I've got Newcastle. I think it'll be a tricky season again for Newcastle under Steve Bruce, but as of recently, they've had a fee agreed for Arsenal's Willock, who was he changed Newcastle's season. Willock last season when he came on loan in January, he really changed them. I think Newcastle fans would agree he's probably the big reason in the fact that they stayed up. Wilson came back from injury and played well again. Alan St. Maximin started performing again. So if they can keep Wilson fit for a season, St. Maximin, those both firing, they get Willock in as well, it really could be 14th could easily be a 13th or a 12th for Newcastle. At the same time, it's Newcastle, it could be a 17th or even a relegation. It's all up in the air with Newcastle. No one really knows what's going to happen. I don't think Newcastle fans would ever be able to bet on how their season's going to go, because it goes completely the opposite to what they think. They don't think they'll get relegated, they get relegated. They think they'll get relegated, they don't get relegated. They don't know what's going on at the club, and that all is from the hierarchy. Mike Ashley is a fucking shocking owner. But he's doing what he hasn't been doing recently, and that's spending. He spent 25 million on Willock. If that's the only signing they make, then it's again a poor window. He's a good player, but they need they need some more reinforcement. They need permanent deals as well, not just loans. So yeah, I think it'll be tricky, but I think a 14th is a solid position for them to finish. 15th, I've got Southampton. Losing Danny Ings is massive. They have today just confirmed, as of this morning, they've had a fee for Blackburn's Adam Armstrong accepted. Armstrong is booked in for a medical tomorrow, I think. He's a proven goal scorer in the Championship. Can he do it in the Premier League? It's undecided yet, but he very well could. But is that enough? I don't know. So I think 15th is reasonable, is achievable, but I think they should probably finish higher than 15th. 16th, I've got Brighton. Again, they've lost Ben White, but they have some other centre backs that can easily fill that void. still got Neil Maupay up top. He's crucial to them. Brighton, I think. Neil Potter is a brilliant manager, so I think he'll keep them up. I think Brighton are fine. I think they'll stay up. But as you can see, I've got Burnley 17th. I think it'll be a battle. I think they both will stay up. But I think it's a battle of whether, like, who sort of finishes 17th, who finishes 16th between Brighton and Burnley. Because for me, those are the two teams that are good enough to stay up, but don't really seem like they're going to challenge the other teams above them. Because Burnley, again, not really doing anything. Like, they've signed two players, Wayne Hennessy on a free. They signed someone else who is, like, pretty sure he's a young kid. So yeah, I don't know. It's the truth, but I think Brighton and Burnley will battle that out. But I think they're good enough to stay up. Especially if Burnley keep Dwight McNeil, he's crucial. He needs to stay. He's big. He's a big talent. So I think if they keep him, I think Burnley are safe. Now into the three that I believe that I've got to be relegated. There's a three that have come up: Brentford, Watford and Norwich. The only team I really see staying up out of them is probably Brentford. I think the way, they've been very good these last few years in the Championship. They've just kept on missing out on promotion. They've always done well, but then they've sort of dragged off, at least always in the sense of the last few years. They finally got it now. I don't know. We'll wait and see. They kick off the season against Arsenal on Friday, so we'll see how they play and we'll see what they do on that and as the season goes on. But right now I've got them in 18th just because the signings, they've signed a few players but they don't really seem top notch to stay in the league. They're seeming more like Championship signings to get them out. So I feel like they're sort of aiming for, if relegation happens, they'll have solid players to get them back up. It doesn't really seem like they're aiming to stay in. I could be completely wrong. Obviously, they don't want to get relegated. Obviously, everyone there wants to stay in the league. But I think there's a want and a will. And at the moment, they're only wanting, they're not willing to stay, they just want it. But then again, I don't know how much money they have, but you've won the playoffs. I'm assumed you get quite a bit. And you're in the Premier League, so you'll get a bit there as well. But then if they are relegated, I still think they'll be fine. I think they'll come back up, but I don't know. I've just got them in 18th at the minute. Watford in 19th. Again, they don't really fill me with any hope. But they're trying. I think they're reliant on Sarr very much to keep them in the division. I think if they get relegated again, I think Sarr goes. I don't think Sarr will take another season in the Championship. Definitely because, it seemed like he was on the way out last summer. It seemed like he could be going to Liverpool. He ended up staying. they go up. There was rumours again that we were in for him this summer. I don't think so. I think he stays at Watford again. But I think if Watford are relegated, then I think he will leave next summer. But again, anything's possible, but at the minute they're not filling me with much hope. And then Norwich, again, I don't really have a lot of hope for Norwich. They're a cracking championship team, but when they get into the Premier League, it just doesn't seem to work out. So that's why I've got them finishing bottom again. I don't know. It's tricky, but I think that there'll be I think it'll be close down at the bottom. I don't think there'll be a team that you think, oh, they're gone by Christmas. You know, like Sheffield United last season. You sort of knew by Christmas they were gone. You know, they had a terrible season, terrible start, terrible run, and you just sort of knew by Christmas Sheffield United were at least gone. And I don't think that'll happen again. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be tight, but ultimately I think at the moment, as it stands, Brentford, Watford and Norwich will be the ones that go down. So that is my Premier League table prediction. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to see more, turn on notifications so you never miss an upload, and also leave in the comments below your suggestions. If you agree, if you don't agree, tell me yours as well, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
I'll return from darkness and will save your precious skin. I will end your suffering and let the healing light come in. Sent by forces beyond salvation, there can be not one sensation.